With Super Bowl 59 now in the books and a new champion crowned, the Carolina Panthers, Dan Morgan, Dave Canellis, and its coaching staff have to look forward to one big day. Free agency. Well, almost. They got to start planning for the draft. Want to see what Mr. CeeLo's mock draft 1.0 is for the Panthers? Stay tuned to find out on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Growlers. Thank you guys so much for joining us yet on another edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Of course, you're Growlin' and Prowlin' with the one and only Mr. CeeLo here. And I just gotta let you guys know that yours truly just celebrated a birthday. And thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Now, as you guys know, the Philadelphia Eagles just won Super Bowl 59 in just absolute dominant fashion. And it just answers the questions that I said in the previous show about drafting Mason Graham. Now, early on, it looked like that this was going to be a distinct possibility. Unfortunately, looking at the way teams are decidedly wanting to go after this, you're going to see a lot more teams. And I said this on my Gridiron Gab Pro Style show that many teams are probably going to be snatching up defensive tackles. Now, in this draft, you actually saw the opposite of that. You got so many people, and guys, I know some of y'all watch Locked On Panthers. I don't have an issue with Julian Council, but he's all in on going after the Mikael Williams and the James Pierce. Look, many of you complimented me on my last show that I did. But before we get into it, I definitely need to get into the housekeeping part of it. But many of you understand exactly what I was saying, and that is very important, because if we trade down, which is what my ultimate goal is, the three guys, but I already know Abdul Carter's not going to be there. But the reality of it is, I'm staying with this story. Unless Tetero McMillan gets hurt at the combine, he's got to be the pick if he's available. Mason Graham, I'm not going to run away from that, because the truth is, everybody talks about the edge rushers of Philly, but it was that defensive push. There were many times our guys got in the backfield. I mean, countless times they got in the backfield, but when the quarterback's able to step up and get in between those gaps, it doesn't matter how good you get up the field. If the defensive interior doesn't push and close those gaps and push the pocket back into the quarterback, it means nothing. So with that being said, these drafts are so unpredictable. And the simulation goes as such. You never know. And like I said, every draft is unpredictable, because just like in real life, 1 minute you could be enamored with one player, and the next minute there's another guy that steps right in and just absolutely blows you away with what he does. And ultimately, that's where this draft is as such. But I'm going to get into a little bit of housekeeping, because I've actually got another subscriber here that I do not know. And yeah, I don't, guys, please sub, write your name when you sub. Find any show, because it will notify me. It's starting to do a little better with my subs. But Looking over at is Myles Garrett trade the right move? And then official Savage says going to Carolina is a backwards move. Better stay in Cleveland. I'm on the fence about that one, official Savage. Thank you for the comment. I think the Carolina Panthers are in a better situation than the Cleveland Browns are right now, to tell you the truth. All in all, they're looking up. And unfortunately, right now, we would more than likely have to part with 2 firsts, arguably a first and a second next year. And we're not that player away. If Garrett was in the free agency market, that's a different story. But as of now, we would have to give up that 8th pick. And needless to say, we need more. And you're going to see what I'm talking about later. So, and a lot of you guys are going to say, well, you got to go get Myles Garrett. Yes, he's pretty good against the run. I get it. But ultimately, you're going to have to part with 2 first-rounders. However, I will say I am starting to get a little bit soft on Myles coming here. If you can give up a first and a second, I don't know. Maybe my mind will change a little bit in a couple of weeks. I am starting to understand that we might need this guy. And everybody's going to be like, Mike, we need him. But is it worth what you're going to give up? Now, Cleveland's only asking for a first and a second. A first this year and a second next year. You're golden. But let us get into the draft. I know it sounds like I contradicted myself, but let us get into it. Bruh. Anyway.
Hey, shut up!
Go ahead and give you the first 7 picks to let you guys know where the flow is going. The flow has been consistent pretty much with the first 3 picks, all except the Giants. The Giants are doing exactly what I thought they were going to predictably do. If any of you guys know, I have done a mock draft of the New York Giants. I am going to do a show on the Giants on Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Make sure you check that out. I've already got the Tennessee Titans mock draft, 3 of them, and I've got the Cleveland Browns one up now. And make sure you go check those out and tell me what you think. That's Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Shedeur Sanders goes number 1. Cam Ward goes to the Titans. Cam Ward goes number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. Abdul Carter goes to the Giants, which is ironic because I actually picked Abdul Carter to go number 3 here, as opposed to if any one of those wide receivers were available. Now, I will say this, even though the Giants are very good at that edge position, I also thought about Mason Graham. Could you imagine having BB, Kayvon Thibodeau, and those guys to go with Mason Graham? Then you got Tetairoa McMillan going to the Patriots. I think this would be a great pick, pairing him with Drake May. Travis Hunter goes to to Jacksonville. Surprising because considering he's the best player in the draft, you've got him going number 5. Then the Raiders take Mason Graham, pairing him with arguably one of the best pass rushers in the game in Max Crosby. Then the Jets get what they need at offensive tackle in Will Campbell. More than likely giving Aaron Rodgers something. Well, no, not giving Aaron Rodgers something. They have, never mind. That's another story. And then I traded out of this 8th pick because, look, guys, let me go ahead and lay this down to you. Mikael Williams is not good enough to take at the 8th pick. I want all of you to understand that. Everybody understands we need pass rush help. But there is very little gap between Mikael Williams, James Pierce, Nick. Now, Nick Scorton is a prospect that I would like to get. I wanted him, but I could not pick to get this guy. To me, he's a guy that is actually reminds me of Myles Garrett. He's 6'4", 280 pounds. Though currently playing too heavy, trimming down should enhance his explosiveness as a pass rusher. His pass rush moves are polished beyond his years, and his fluidity at 280 pounds is striking, with a strong lower half and room to refine his power game. Scorton has the tools to develop into a dominant force. To me, I know what a lot of people are going to say. Well, why don't you get him? Because you don't want to reach if you got people that got him ranked 14th. I ultimately want to get him, but then again, if I can get enough draft trade downs, which I ended up getting our first pick at number 28. And I know a lot of people are going to go, what? I know, 28th. But let me tell you how we ended this draft before you guys start losing your grip. We ended up with an extra third, but we lost our 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick. So we ended up with our first, second, third, and fourth next season. I know a lot of people are going to be like, you dummy, but yet you're going to see what we got. We ended up with 5 picks in the top 75. Mr. CeeLo did good, and I'm going to show you. The first pick out of number 28, we got defensive tackle out of Michigan, Kenneth Grant. 6'3", 342 pounds. You could say the running mate of Mason Graham or the less glorified guy in this draft. Kenneth Grant is a powerful, agile defensive tackle. Sound familiar? For Michigan, standing 6'3", 340 pounds, renowned for excelling in crucial moments. He effectively pressures the quarterback and anchors the run defense with his natural athleticism and strength. With significant potential and ongoing development, Grant is a top first-round prospect in the 2025 NFL Draft.
God damn!
Winner! Supreme victory!
Can you believe that?
I don't believe anything.
Like I told you guys, the Philadelphia Eagles gave the blueprint to beat the Joe Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes, possibly the Josh Allens and whatnot, because the reality of it is when you pay these quarterbacks the type of dollars that they get, you ultimately have to sacrifice something. And the Kansas City Chiefs have been sacrificing offensive lines. So is Cincinnati. They have been sacrificing a lot. And ultimately, when you get a team like the Philadelphia Eagles who say it's not necessarily just the defense that they built. They built a strong front four. And they've done a great job drafting in that secondary. I don't want to talk just about them. I'm just using those as analogies. But anyway, I ended up trading, getting some pretty good picks, and then I was able to, well, before I go into that, Kenneth Graham, could you imagine putting him alongside one Derek Brown? And there's another guy that I added in this draft that you guys are going to absolutely love. And he's actually going to be a possible pass rusher for us as well. And they come from the same school. I told you, guys, I did some wheeling and dealing, and we arguably could fix this defense this draft. I'm telling you. I know what people are going to say. The draft has to go absolutely perfect. Yes, you're right. It does have to almost go perfect, but it's not out of the question. Pick number 2. Notre Dame All-American safety, Chuck Bednarik Award winner, Xavier Watts. I know. 6 foot tall, 203 pounds, converted wide receiver who has just absolutely got a nose for the football. To me, he is the second best safety in this draft. Malachi Starks is badly overrated in my opinion. I thought I was going to attempt to get Nick Emanrory from South Carolina. This guy is a specimen. But unfortunately, like I said, I do not want to get guys that I got to reach for. Because when you start reaching, the reality of it is you lose guys. And I actually had 2 tackles that I could have procured. I could actually procured another tackle had I chose to, defensive tackle. And we could have stringed out the entire defensive front. But I wanted to get a few more draft picks, and I was able to do that. But let's look at Xavier Watts. As many people know that the safety room is probably going to be creamed out. It's going to be cleaned. It's going to be just absolutely just And what better piece than to bring in there with like a guy like Xavier Watts, who is an All-American, just came off of an impressive college football playoff, very good against the run. His tackling was something to be desired about 2 years ago, but now he's refined that. He's doing a great job. Just an absolute ball hawk, and his skill set is exactly what Coach Evero wants. He can cover in one-on-one situations, which means there's so many things Evero could do. He could pretend like he's bringing him up to the line of scrimmage and blitz him, or he can bring him up to the line of scrimmage in coverage. What is better than that? And he definitely answers the question that all the personnel, the upper management personnel, and the coaching staff of the Carolina Panthers want. They need a ball-hawking safety. There you have it, Xavier Watts. Then I was able to trade and move up and collect everyone from Julian Council to Panthers Playbook to ES99 The Fans edge rusher. Enter 6'5", 281 pound Shamar Stewart. Now, Stewart's rare blend of size, explosiveness makes him a tantalizing fit for most defenses. His versatility allows him to line up as an edge rusher or 5 technique, and despite his power, he moves fluidly enough to drop into coverage, making him a potential game changer in multiple roles. His presence could elevate any already formidable front. Now, I'm going to get you another guy in a minute, but Shamar Stewart is 6'5", 281 pounds. Now, he's traditionally playing in a 4-3, but I think he could flourish on that outside. You could even move him inside on that outer half of that 3 technique. You don't want that. And I'm telling you, when I show you the next guy that I got, the other 2 guys that I got, you're going to see I'm building a mad defense, you guys. A mad defensive front. And I told you, everybody's talking about edge rushers. You can get 2 quality edge rushers in this draft. And see, this is what I hope my show is able to do, you guys. And we're able to get the word out there. We don't need Mykel Williams. We can trade down, get draft capital, and move up into this draft, get several picks in the top 75, and we can procure at least 2 more tackles and 2 more edge guys. Guess what you got? You add Derek Brown to the mix, and then you got 2 rookie edge rushers. See which one of them wins out, and then they play on the opposite side of DJ Wanham. And Jadeveon Clowney becomes a rotational piece. How's that sound, you guys? Thought so. But the pick is Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M, 6'5", 281 pounds. Then I was able to trade back up and snag probably an underrated guy that Bryce Young would absolutely love. I had to reach for him a little bit, but it's 6'5", 225 pound wide receiver out of TCU, Savion Williams. Did you hear what I said? 6'5", 225 pound wide receiver out of TCU, Savion Williams. Now, who is he? I'm glad you asked. To me, he's not what Tetero McMillan is, but he's a lesser-known dude. Williams didn't have the ideal opportunity to showcase his full potential in TCU's 2024 offense, but his rare blend of size, as before mentioned, and athleticism makes him one of the most intriguing prospects in his class. With the right system, his natural ability could make him a standout playmaker at the next level. Can you say T. Higgins? Now, I'm not saying he's got T. Higgins speed. That has yet to be known. But I can tell you right now, guys, the hard part about this is in a couple of weeks when the combine comes up, this guy's stock may go up. I'm telling you, these physical traits that Savion Williams, and I've watched film on this guy. I may try to put a couple of shots in this, but I'm going to tell you something about this kid. This kid has the potential to be the goods. And the way Bryce looked last year, and I guarantee you we're going to try to push the ball down the field more next season. I think it was just a combination of understanding if Bryce was seeing the field. Now you're seeing... See, I get chills just thinking about it. I can't wait to see Bryce get the ball next season because now there's a camaraderie there with Dave Canellis. There's a trust factor there that goes with Dave Canellis and Bryce Young. They're seeing things together. As much as I wanted Evero to get as much as I wanted Coach Evero to get the head coaching position, I'm kind of glad Canellis has the head coaching job now, and he needs to stay there as long as Bryce is there. Yes, you heard me. If Canellis goes, Bryce has to go. Or if Bryce goes, I guess you can say Canellis doesn't have to go. But the fact is, these two need to stay together. They need to stay together. Savion Williams, 6'5", 225. I took him with the 68th pick. Now, I know we need a cornerback. So when are you going to get one? I'm glad you asked. With the 3rd round pick that the Carolina Panthers had, I took Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech, 6'1", 179. Now, his weight's a little bit light, but Strong has a skilled and instinctive quarterback who excels in man coverage, but is also more than competent in zone coverages, which we don't play a whole lot of. He possesses fluid hips, quick feet, and strong closing speed, allowing him to stick with receivers and disrupt passing lanes. Strong's ball skills stand out as he consistently tracks the ball and makes plays on it in contested situations. I absolutely love that. He plays with physicality at the line of scrimmage, using his length effectively to disrupt routes. Strong's football IQ and anticipation enable him to read quarterbacks and jump routes, but can also make him vulnerable if he mistimes the play or double moves. Additionally, adding strength will allow him to handle bigger receivers and further enhance his game as a lockdown defender. I love it. The weight needs to come up, but I'll tell you this. Love lengthy, lanky kind of guys, and his film is impressive. Needless to say, if he runs a good combine, this is another guy that could go up the board. So, as you guys see, I am not only taking advantage of the trades that we made when we traded down, but I'm also taking advantage of getting back into the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round. Now we move in to the 3rd round, and this is where I made another Mr. CeeLo type move. You know, we already have defensive tackle Kenneth Graham, right? So I had to add Shamar Stewart's partner at A&M. Shamar number 2, Shamar Turner. So it's Shamar. Shamar Turner, 6'4", 300 pounds. Shamar Turner is a disruptive and versatile defensive lineman with the ability to excel at multiple positions across the front. He combines a quick first step with impressive strength, allowing him to penetrate gaps and create consistent backfield pressure. Turner's hand usage and lateral movement make him effective against both the run and the pass, with his motor and physicality enabling him to shed blockers and pursue plays with intensity. His agility and athleticism for his size are notable, giving him the flexibility to line up inside or on the edge. I know. Turner has the tendency to play with a high pad level at times, which cost him in leverage battles while also lacking consistency in the run game at times. What they're saying is this is a guy who can be a disruptive force, and at times he loses discipline. But here's the thing. This is where I love this guy. If we look at what we have at this moment, look at me, guys. I want y'all to think about something. Look right here. Now I'm going to look down for a minute. The 2 Shamars, Kenneth Grant, and Derek Brown. along with DJ Wanham. How's that sound? Does that sound like a defense that's going to stop the run next year? I think so. We just got to get Morgan. Well, you can't put it all on Morgan. It's all going to be predicated on what teams are calling you up that night. That's the most important thing. Because as I said many times on my other show, these drafts are like babies. They're all different. They're never going to be drafted completely the same. I don't care if it's the first, second, third, or fourth. We all know from the third on down, it's going to be totally different every time. But even in the first and second, you might get 2 or 3 picks that are the same. Or a team that may trade tonight, or they might get the gut to trade, but they can't pull the trigger. So I'm going to tell you, looking at this right now, you guys got to give me an A+ already. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Then at the 110th pick, I had to reach for this one because we needed to get a center. I know the situation with Austin Corbett and Cade Mays and Brady Christensen. So, but I still went ahead and I drafted Jonah Monaheim out of USC. Now, Jonah Monaheim is 6'4", 307 pounds. Now, one thing you can honestly say is that this guy handled his business out at USC. He was the 115th player ranked, I think he was. But this is a guy that can definitely be a guy that could sit for a couple of years behind either Cade Mays, Brady Christensen, or Austin Corbett and learn. But he was still great in his own respect at USC. You know, Marks was not just a scrub running back. This guy was getting up the field, and a lot of his runs not just were on the edge. He was getting a lot of in between the tackle type runs. And this guy, Monahan, was getting up the field. I think he's going to be a great addition to the offensive line. Deciding whatever they decide that's going to happen with the contracts of Christensen, Corbett, or Cade Mays. Then we move on to 164, and it became more difficult because a lot of the players that were at the top of the list weren't guys I wanted to reach for. So I ended up getting Luke Lackey. And everybody's going to wonder, why did you go tight end? Well, the reason why I went tight end was simple. More than likely, Tommy Tremble probably will re-sign. We'll see. Hopefully he will. And then all we have left is JT Sanders because we've pretty much got nobody else under contract at the tight end position. But we draft Luke Lackey, who is 6'5", 245 pounds, out of Iowa. Luke Lackey is a big body, athletic tight end with a well-rounded skill set that makes him a valuable offensive weapon. His length and smooth acceleration off the line should serve him well as a seam stretcher. Lackey is a fluid, technical route runner when he's working against air. He needs to develop his core strength to become more effective as a blocker. Same thing with Sanders. His core strength needs to become better if he's going to be able to be a good blocker. Especially as that will likely be his path to playing time early in his career. Lackey is a perfect day 3 draft swing on an athletic tight end who could end up contributing as a tight end 2 or on special teams early in his career. I'll say this. Do I think that Dave Canellis is going to institute more tight end plays, especially looking at how effective Bryce was last year later on? I think it would be monstrous if we instituted more tight end passes because literally it will become more of a safety net for Bryce, which he doesn't have a lot of. And most people will, chuckle, claiming that it's more on Bryce than anybody else. No, he can't run something that you don't call. Let's just call it what it is. Canellis has to set up tight ends more. And when we saw guys like Tommy Tremble and JT Sanders getting open, and Canellis putting more emphasis on those guys getting open and giving them efficient, effective routes, what happened? I've been said that Tommy Tremble's a great player. I've been said that I thought they reached to get JT Sanders, but JT Sanders is a good player. I think you got to put them both out there at the same time. And then when you put a guy like Luke Lackey out there, oof, let me stop. Let me stop. Then if you get 2-3 tight ends out there, like I said, JT Sanders has got to work on his blocking. Same thing with Luke Lackey. You know, hang out with Tommy Tremble. He'll show you how to knock somebody's head off. And our final pick came at 224, which was linebacker Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame. Okay, as a Notre Dame fan, I love this guy. This guy has no problem sticking his nose into stuff. And in situations where we have to go like 3rd and 1s or 4th and 1s, we need a guy like Jack Kaiser. This is a guy that loves to stick his nose in there. He's quick. He's not the fastest linebacker, but he's quick. He reads and reacts very well. We get a situation where Trevin Wallace gets hurt, Josie Jewell, or if we hang on to Shaq Thompson, which I hope we do, this is the guy that would be an excellent fit. Or even he could get ready when Shaq decides to retire. This is a guy. I'm telling y'all, 6'1", 227. The size ain't great, but I tell you something, Jack Kaiser will light you up. But let's go through it final. Let's look at the Carolina Panthers draft 1.0. With the 28th pick, with the first pick, the Carolina Panthers select Kenneth Graham. With their second pick, Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. With their third pick, they take Shamar Stewart, edge out of A&M. With their fourth pick, Savion Wallace, wide receiver out of TCU. With their fifth pick, they take Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. With the sixth pick, they take defensive tackle Shamar Turner out of A&M. And at their seventh pick, they take Jonah Monahan, offensive center out of USC. And then with their eighth pick, they take Luke Lackey, tight end out of Iowa. And finally, with their ninth and final pick, they take linebacker Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame. And we also procured a 2026 third-round pick from the Las Vegas Raiders. Let me know what you think about the Carolina Panthers mock draft 1.0 Mr. CeeLo style. Hit me up on the Facebook group at Growlin' and Prowlin'. Let me know, find out all the wonderful, cool things we're involved in. Also, make sure you sign up to get notifications and to add Growlin' and Prowlin' as your friend so you can get updates as soon as something goes on the Facebook platform. As well, make sure you comment down below and let me know if you are now a friend of the show so I can make sure I keep account of you. Finally, make sure you go to my personal Instagram at Mr. CeeLo on Instagram and keep up with all of the shenanigans that I will be involved in this offseason. But that's going to do it. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.